Okay, welcome back. So today we're going to be looking at multiplication of negative decimals and division of negative decimals. In this video, let's just deal with multiplication. So let's get started with A. We have minus 3.6 multiplied by 4.5. And with decimal multiplication, what we do is just multiply everything out normally, ignoring the decimals, and then add them back in at the end. So if we were going to do this, the first thing we need to look at is the signs. Minus 3.6 times 4.5 is a negative multiplied by a positive, and that means that our answer, which we'll put in here at the end, is going to be negative. With that said, let's get started on our multiplication. So we're going to do 45, or 36 rather. 36 multiplied by 45. Now, the way you do these multiplication, or this long multiplication, depends on how confident you are in your multiplication abilities. You can do 5 times 6 and then 5 times 3, or you can just do it in one step and do 5 times 36. Now, I know that 10 times 36 is going to be 360, and half of that is going to be 5 times 36, which means it's going to be 180. But let's just do it normally. So 5 times 6 is going to be 30. And then put down the 0, 5 times 3 is 150. Okay, now for the 40, we put down a 0 to recognize the 10, we do 4 times 6, which is 224, and then we do 4 times 30, which is going to be 120. Alright, so this whole thing simplifies down to 1620. Alright, now let's bring it back up here. 1620. Now, when we're doing this, the only way this technique works is if at the end we look at the decimal numbers that we have and ultimately decide how many decimal places are in each. So we have 1 decimal place here and 1 decimal place here. That means our answer has to have the same number of decimal places, which is 2. So that, if I put that decimal place here, I have 2 decimal places. Okay? So the answer for A is going to be 16.20. Alright, let's look at B. So for B we have minus 2.25, and we're going to multiply this by negative 7. Now, because it's a negative multiplied by a negative, we know the answer will end up being positive, so we can just treat this as positive multiplication. Okay, so let's do the exact same thing as before. We're going to do 225, and we're going to multiply this by 7. Alright, so we know that 7 times 25 will be 175, and we know that 7 times 200 is going to be 1400. So the end result is going to be 1575. Okay, so bring that back up here. 1575. Negative multiplied by negative is positive, so we don't have to change the sign. We have 2 decimal places here, which means we need to reflect the exact same amount in our answer, which is 15.75. Alright, now let's look at C. C is going to be 6.2 multiplied by minus 1.8. Because it's a positive multiplied by a negative, our answer in the end is going to be negative. And now we just need to do our long multiplication, 62 times 18. Alright, so 8 times 2 is going to be 16. Put down the 0. 8 times 6 is going to be 48. And then we can do 10 times, we don't have to do this separately, we can just do 10 times 62, which will be 620. Okay, and our answer at the end of that is going to be 6111. So 1116. Right. And we have 1 decimal place here and 1 decimal place here, which means we need 2 decimal places in our answer, 1 and 2. There you go. So our answer is negative 11.16. Okay, here's a few for you guys to practice. So just give the video a pause, give them a go, and then I will answer them. Alright, let's get started. So with D, we have minus 0.75 multiplied by 9.2. So it's a negative multiplied by a positive, so our answer at the end will be negative. And then we just need to do 75 multiplied by 92. Alright, we can do 2 times 75 straight away, which is going to be 150. Alright, now we can do 9 times 75. Now, an easy way to do this in your head is just to do 10 times 75, which will be 750. And then take away a group of 75 from that, which will give you 675. Now, when we add them both together, we get 6,900. Bring that back up here. And in total here, we have 2 decimal places here and 1 here. So we need 3 in our answer. And that means this is minus 6.9. Because we have all these extra zeros that we don't need, we're just going to drop them. And our answer is there. Alright, let's do E. E is going to be minus 8.4 multiplied by negative 0.6. Now, because it's a negative multiplied by a negative, our answer will be positive, so we can just treat this as a positive multiplication. Then we just need to do 84 multiplied by 6. Right, so 6 times 84, just do it separately. So 6 times 4 is going to be 24, and then 6 times 8 is going to be 48. So the end result of our answer is 504. Bring that back up here, and then we need to check. We've got 1 decimal place here and 1 here, so we need 2 in our answer. Alright, lastly we have F, which is 7.7 times minus 3.3. Now this is a positive multiplied by a negative, so our sign will be negative, and then we just need to do 77 multiplied by 33. Alright, so if we do 3 times 77, we'll get 231, and then put down a 0 and do 3 times 77 again and get 231, except moved 1 over to recognize the tens column. And our answer at the end will be 2541. Alright, and then we have 1 decimal place here, 1 decimal place here, so we need 2 in our answer. So our answer is going to be negative 25.41. Okay, so this skill will be used just to check if you can do it. Ultimately, later on you'll do this a lot in the calculator. But it's good practice just to work through your multiplication. Anyway, that's it for this video. Hopefully it was helpful, and I will see you in the next one.